What's up, everyone? Kyle here. I am super excited to let you all know that my first published book is out now. It's called Travel Tips, a 20-something's comprehensive guide for traveling in the modern world. It's available on DoranceBookstore.com, I believe is the website. It's going to be available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble on their online websites soon as well. And you can also get a copy directly from me. You can just email me at ourtravelexperiences@outlook.com, and we can talk about a book, and I'll get a signed copy to you. I'm super excited to share it with you all. This was a dream come true for me, a bucket list item in the making, and I'm super excited to share it all with you now. So go check it out, everyone. There will be a link in the description below, and enjoy the episode. All right, welcome everyone. This is Our Travel Experiences. I'm your host, Kyle Rasmussen, and today I have with me one of my best friends, Sarah. Sarah, how are you today?
Hey, Kyle, I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well. I'm really excited for this conversation. We've gotten to travel together a couple times recently, and have become really good friends. So I'm excited to hear your experiences.
Yeah, me as well. Well, I mean, like it's so great because, I've traveled solo a handful of times and I signed up for a travel company called FTLO and did FTLO a couple of times, and it's like group travel and meeting new people, and I was so happy that we met each other on vacation with FTLO.
Yeah, I feel like that's the best way to meet people.
Yeah.
Meet them while you're traveling abroad. That's always fun.
And it's nice that like everything is planned for you, that you can just
Mhm.
literally hop on the plane and not have to worry about anything.
Yeah, I know we were talking about in our group chat how unprepared we were for Cuba recently.
Oh my God, yeah. I had no idea. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
That's
mean,
the nice part. You can travel and not worry at all, and then you get to hang out with a bunch of friends.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, Cuba was fun. I still think Morocco was my favorite trip that you and I have done together.
Okay, why was that?
I mean, I just love like the culture was so cool and we saw a lot of the country. I feel like really checked that off the bucket list of
Hmm.
seeing the entirety of Morocco. Um, and it was just beautiful. And lots of laughs. I mean, like, I think Cuba was kind of fun because that was our second time traveling and we kind of had like some inside jokes, but I love Morocco. I think that's one of my favorite places that I've ever been.
Yeah, that was definitely I would say probably one of the most unique places I've been, if not the
Yeah.
most unique. Totally different from places I've been used to traveling to.
Yeah. Same. Absolutely. I feel like I've done, I mean, pretty much all of Western Europe and Eastern Europe, but I haven't really ventured too far into like South America and Africa.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different world, and that's
Yeah,
one of the fun parts of traveling is you get to experience different ways of life and different ways of doing things.
totally. And making new friends like all over the world. I
Hmm.
know when I was a kid, we used to go on a lot of cruises. That was like my parents' preferred method of travel and not have to plan anything. And we actually, on our travels, we met like a really fun gay couple from London, and we call them my gunkles. And we're still in touch like 25 years later. And like they come over
Wow.
to the US and we fix them like a Thanksgiving dinner, and whenever I have like a layover over in London, they always pick me up. And it's just fun. Like the people that you meet on vacation are people that you might not necessarily interact with on like your day to day life. And then you kind of just meet these people who are just really fun.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like you and the rest of my aunties now.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. How funny is that?
Uh, yeah, it's honestly like you ladies have become some of my like closest friends, and it's fun. That never would have happened had it not been for FTLO and for those travels.
Right back at you. And yeah, dear listeners, it was funny because Kyle was like one of, I mean, one of the very few boys on the trip, and it was pretty much all women in like their mid 30s. And kind of we just took Kyle under our wing and we're like, yeah, you're our friend now.
Yeah, it was awesome. That was that was a good time. Um,
Getting a feel for like you're getting a real big dose of millennial women and culture, especially in that group chat.
yeah, I'm learning a lot of things. I'll say that much.
Did you know what spill the tea meant before?
Yes, I have
Okay.
heard that before.
Okay.
It's just funny the way that you guys say things and think through things. It's been a fun group chat to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
Yeah, so have you so obviously we did Morocco together and then Cuba just recently. Have you done other FTL trips?
I did. So we both have done Colombia, but we didn't do that
Mhm.
together, unfortunately. Um I really liked that trip a lot. That was cool.
Yeah,
Um
that's a fun one.
and that was one that I feel like I couldn't have done on my own traveling, like in planning that out. I wouldn't have even known where to
Yeah.
start. I've also done Portugal with FTLO.
Okay.
Um, and that one, I've done Portugal on my own before, and I feel like, FTLO was a great experience, but I feel like Portugal, kind of like Western Europe, you can do on your own.
Yeah.
Um, and then I also did South Africa with FTLO, and we did safaris and game drives, and that was really, really cool.
Yeah, what was that trip like?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot smaller. So this group travel trip was like 8 people. And it's kind of always a mixed bag. You don't know who you're going to be traveling with.
Mm.
I kind of wish that I could have taken my Moroccan crew and like plopped you in on this trip. But yeah, it was cool. You flew into Cape Town, and we did a couple of days in Cape Town, and then the wine country in Stellenbosch. And then we went to the bush and we stayed and did, on and did safari for I think it was 3 or 4 days, and then we flew out of Johannesburg.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
You get to see a lot of the interesting animals out there.
yeah, but unfortunately, we didn't see all of the big five. We missed the rhino and a cheetah, so it's just an excuse to go back.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll have to do a group trip with our group chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, oh, and you know what I wanted to talk to you about? I really am interested in doing Antarctica, and I kind of wanted to pick your
Yeah.
brain about what you have done and like, because I know that you're interested in taking that trip this year.
Yes, definitely. I'm doing everything I can to make that happen.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, well, the really the only way to do it is via cruise.
right.
Um, so you got to go down to Patagonia. I forget the name of the town in Argentina where you depart from, but I know that there's multiple companies that will do cruises to Antarctica.
Yeah,
Um, and you can pick if you want to do a more extended trip where you go to, I think it's like South Georgia and some other islands around there
yeah,
before you actually go to Antarctica, or you can just go on a cruise that goes basically directly there.
yeah.
That's going to be a lot cheaper for sure. But yeah, you don't spend actually a lot of time actually on the continent itself. It's more of just
Right.
kind of like, we're going to go on the ice for a couple hours and then get back on the boat.
Yeah. And what are you finding? Because I'm finding there's either like the Silver Sea cruises and you can go for like $28,000 on a luxury boat, or it's like you can go for like 8 grand, but it's going to be like on a scientific research boat with like no amenities.
Yeah.
There, there's no in between.
Yeah, I think the cheapest one that I found is Intrepid. And if you went
Oh,
directly there, it was like maybe like 9 grand,
yeah.
somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But
It's
it's not
definitely,
cheap, that's for sure. You still got to get
yeah.
to Argentina and down there, anyways.
Yeah.
It can be a lot, but
Yeah.
that's such a unique place and one that I would definitely love to go to.
Yeah. Same. Well, let me know if you do end up booking it, and I'll be your roommate on for the bunk bed.
All right, I like it. I like it. That would be a ton of fun to have you and others on that trip.
I think so too. Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, like having traveled with FTLO, having traveled solo,
Mhm.
what would you say like are the pros and cons of both?
Ooh, good question. I mean, the pro of group travel is definitely not having to plan any of it and having like a group of new friends that you meet and keep in touch with.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, the pros of like solo traveling is you really get to like maybe go off the beaten path and explore exactly what you want. Um, but I mean, it kind of can get stressful because it's like, you don't have someone organizing everything, and I don't have the best attention to detail. So I've missed many a train and have kind of waited around and not known like an airport transfer to, from Charles de Gaulle to Paris. So,
Mhm.
I mean, that's kind of like the downside of planning it your own. Um, I mean, the plus side is kind of like if you do it solo. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of sold on the group travel at the moment. I don't like having to plan anything. What about
Yeah,
you? What do you think?
that's pretty nice. um, yeah, no, I actually put that in my review of FTLO. They're getting a lot of free advertising right now, but
Yeah,
uh,
FTLO sent
uh,
us a voucher.
yes, um, yeah, but like I in the review I put that while I've traveled the world extensively on my own and could easily do that. I choose to go on these trips with them just because it's so much fun and you get to meet, so many amazing people and it's just such a fun experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
And I feel like
Plus,
when you do it with someone who kind of knows what they're doing and they've planned it a couple
mhm.
of times, they've kind of ironed out the kinks and made sure that you go to the places that are worth visiting and steer you away from maybe some of the tourist traps that aren't.
Yeah, definitely. I like that they really try to help you see more of the cultural side of things and not just. I mean, you are going to some of the touristy spots, but you're
Yeah.
not just going there.
And sometimes the touristy parts are really fun. Like, I'm not
Mhm.
above that.
Yeah, they're touristy spots for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, yeah, I really enjoy FTLO, and I know there's other companies out there, and I know others, do a great job too. I've heard a lot of good things about other companies like Intrepid,
Yeah.
um, but it's just fun. It's fun to not have to worry at all about what you're
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Have you ever done an Intrepid trip?
I haven't. I've looked
Yeah.
into them, but I found FTLO and I've stuck with them.
Yeah. I'm kind of like I haven't really done too much research into Intrepid, but like my one thing is that I want it to be like it doesn't have to be a luxury accommodation, but like mama's not looking to stay at a hostel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what's so hard is sometimes you just don't know of like what you're going to get when you try a new company.
hmm Yeah. Man, speaking of accommodations, the one we had in Cuba was awesome. Yeah, and the staff was amazing. Um,
Yes. Oh my gosh.
that was
And I
just like an
love,
added bonus for the trip.
yeah. Oh my gosh. That was so, I feel like that staff had no idea getting into though. They were
Yeah.
kind of overwhelmed our rowdy group.
I don't know. I think they enjoyed it a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
That's fun. Do you have any other FTLO trips planned?
So I've put a deposit down for Vietnam at the end of the year,
Okay.
New Year. Um, and I've put it down to do with a new company called G Adventures. I hadn't heard of
Okay.
before, but Michaela and Danny recommended them. Um, and yeah, other than that, I mean, I just have domestic travel. I don't have any international trips planned other than those two. What about you?
Nothing. internationally planned at the moment. I got a lot of ideas and things I'm trying to make happen.
Yeah.
Got a couple domestic trips coming up, but yeah, hopefully I can get out to the East Coast and see all of you guys up there.
Yes, I am trying to actively get you to move over. I think DC. I think you'd really like DC, and we have 3 airports, so it would be easy
Huh?
for you to jump around.
Well, that's true. That's true. And being on the East Coast, Europe's a lot closer and everything. So,
Yeah,
um,
a lot cheaper to get to.
yeah, I was thinking about it when I was flying back from Miami to Seattle, um, after the Cuba trip. I was like, this is a 7-hour flight across the country. If I was on the East Coast, I could fly to Europe in less time,
Yeah, you could.
which is wild. I could be on the on a different continent in less time than it takes me to go home.
Yeah, that's pretty gnarly. I mean, have you taken advantage of living on the West Coast? Have you done like Hawaii and Asia?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've
Oh yeah.
I got to go to Southeast Asia when I studied abroad in Australia. So I
Nice.
flew into Hong Kong first and just like toured Southeast Asia for a few weeks before
Cool.
going to Australia. There's definitely advantages on the West Coast. I mean, I've gotten to explore, basically all of the Western U.S. very, very extensively,
Yeah,
and up into Alaska and all of that. So
gorgeous.
advantages and disadvantages to every place, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, sounds like you've checked the West Coast off your list. I mean, I'm just being selfish. I want you to move over here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, find me a good house and I'll look into
Done. Okay, fair.
it. For all the listeners, Sarah is a real estate agent in DC. So if you're looking to move, you can chat
Yeah,
with her.
I won last year. I won DC's best realtor of DC City Paper. Yeah, but there was a hack job. There was an inside job. They changed the dates for voting and I didn't know, and so I didn't win it for 2023, unfortunately.
Oh, that's lame.
I know. A literal stolen election. I didn't know when the dates were.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so DC's best realtor for 2022. Not this year.
Well, tell me a little bit more on DC. Why should people move to DC or why should they visit?
Ooh, well, I'm so glad you asked. I kind of think that like DC is so charming because we have a bunch of like independently owned restaurants, a lot of culture. It's a big foodie city. And I
Okay.
also love like the Smithsonian's and the free museums. There's
Mhm.
always something like happening that is a free activity on the weekend. And I feel like I haven't always found that when I've lived in other parts of the country.
Yeah, yeah. I I definitely do need to go back to DC because when I was there, oh gosh, that was 2018, I think.
Yeah.
Um, it rained the entire time that I was there for like 5 days
Oh,
straight.
oh,
Um, and
that's the
yeah,
worst.
and I was, walking between the different Smithsonian's there,
Yeah,
and I was just soaked the entire 5 days. It was terrible.
that sounds miserable. Yeah, no wonder you didn't have a great time.
Yeah. I mean, it was fun. I got to see and do a lot, but I definitely would go
Yeah,
back and explore more when it's nicer.
and do it right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, come over. The cherry blossoms are starting to pop.
Ooh, all
Yeah,
right. That's a good motivator to get over there.
good job. We'll rent a swan boat and we'll do the tidal basin.
I like it. Sounds like a plan. Oh, that's funny. Um, yeah, I guess what's been some of your favorite moments with FTLO and some of your just favorite travel moments in general?
Ooh, um, favorite travel moments. Well, when we were in Cuba, it was so cool to take those classic car convertibles around and
Yeah.
just be driven around and listening to like Whitney Houston. Um, that was definitely a favorite. I'd say also like safari. That was pretty magical. Like seeing the animals so close up in person, like with no bars or anything, like at the zoo.
Mhm.
Um, And like personally, my dad and I actually do like a bunch of father-daughter trips. And every 2 years we plan like a really cool international adventure. And uh, in 2019, we did Slovenia together. And
Ooh.
Slovenia, like, don't sleep on Slovenia. It is magical and it's like real life Disney World. And it's untouched. I feel like
Huh.
not everyone is like going over there, but everyone speaks English. The wine is cheap. It's just like the whole downtown of Ljubljana is a pedestrian center. And there's a beach. It's perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've you don't really hear much about Slovenia, but from I've heard you speak about it before, and a couple other people, and it sounds like an amazing place to go to.
Oh, yeah. Do not sleep on. The only thing that kind of sucks is in order to see all of it, you have to rent a car.
Mm.
I haven't seen any I mean, I did it with my dad, so that was easy, but I can imagine it would be tough to rent a car if you're solo because it's tough to drive and see all the sights.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you usually do for renting a car internationally?
Oh gosh, it's always kind of been a pain in the ass, especially when like you return it and they find so much more damage and it's like, I didn't even know to look under the car.
Oh,
Um,
geez.
yeah, I mean, I don't really have any good advice for that. I feel like I book a rental car online and then I pick it up at the airport, but I've never had a great experience doing it.
Yeah, I feel like especially internationally, that
Yeah.
adds another challenge to it.
Yeah. I mean, like, nationally, I feel, no big deal, but internationally is a real pain in the butt.
Hmm.
I
Yeah, and you
have
have to get
heard, oh,
your
sorry.
AAA international license or whatever.
Oh gosh, maybe I should. I haven't gotten that. Don't tell.
Okay, never mind.
But yeah, I have heard that the company SIXIT, I don't know how to pronounce it,
Mm.
but they're the worst. They're the ones that like when we returned the car, they brought like the mirror that goes underneath and they were like, wow,
Jeez.
look at all of this damage under the car. We're like, what the hell? That wasn't us.
That's terrible. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I haven't ever heard of that before.
Yeah. Well, be warned. Or you
Good
can
to know.
bleep that out if you need to have a sponsorship deal with them later.
No,
I
that's
won't
okay.
tell.
That's okay. Um, what are some of the domestic travels that you've really enjoyed?
Ooh. Well, my dad lives out in the Bay Area, and so I go to
Okay.
visit him maybe once a year. And I just love like driving around in the Northern California countryside. It's
Mhm.
just so beautiful. And I mean, I don't know what the economic issues are with having so much like unused land from a housing perspective, especially in California, but it sure is beautiful. Like
Mhm.
just driving around in those rolling hills and the ocean and Muir Woods. I mean, like, I think that might be one of my top um, domestic destinations, as well as I'm kind of biased after growing up in Portland, Maine. It's kind of perfect there.
Yeah, Portland. I got to go there last year, and it was actually really amazing. I was shocked at how beautiful it was, and just the whole coast of Maine was just awesome.
Yeah. Okay. I was shocked too because Portland was not that cool when I was growing up. Now it's like full of like independently owned restaurants and cute
Mhm.
breweries. But like back when I was there, it was not as cool. I wouldn't have left if it is what it is today.
Yeah, it seems like they have had a real revitalization. You could see that a lot of places were really new, and that it
Yeah.
seems like a lot of things have really built up the last few years.
Yeah. Absolutely. But I mean, yeah, the coast of Maine is gorgeous. I mean, it's not great for swimming, but it's gorgeous to drive by and like eat a
Mhm.
fresh lobster roll and
Yeah,
go up Route 1.
yeah. Speaking of lobster, that lobster we had in Cuba at the Havana Queens restaurant, that was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of I wasn't expecting them to bring out the lobster for us. That was kind of
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, that was perfect. And then the
Yeah,
mojitos and the great show on top of it just made for
that
a
was
good
awesome.
evening.
There may not be any toilet paper in the bathroom, but there's lobster and mojitos on the table.
I mean, you got to take what you can get.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What'd you think of the cigar tasting?
Oh, I loved it. You know what? I loathe cigars. I think they smell awful. I don't get the appeal. But I had that was probably one of the highlights of the trip for me. It was
Hmm.
cool to like listen to the guys say how they're made and how they're rolled. It kind of felt like a wine tasting a little bit, and I really enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I thought the history was super fascinating, and just like how detailed they are with the whole process. It was super interesting.
Yeah, and I also was kind of like able to put a lot of dots together because he was saying two of like the main brands over there are the Romeo and Julieta and
Hmm.
the Monte Cristo cigars. And those names came from in the warehouses where they're rolling the cigars. They don't like watch TV or anything. There's like one guy up at the top, almost like foreseeing the whole operation
Yeah,
with a microphone, and he reads off Romeo and Juliet and the Count of Monte Cristo over and over again, and that's how they got their names.
yeah, yeah. I thought that was so wild. I was
That
like,
was so
oh,
cool.
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm putting the dots together now.
Yeah, that was that was definitely one of my highlights as well. That was really interesting.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but did you like the salsa dancing too?
You know what? The salsa dancing, I could have left it. I would have had a great time watching you all dance, but it was hot
That
and
was so
that
long.
yeah, I can't dance and I felt just really stupid. But I'm
Uh,
glad that I did it. But I think, I don't know if you saw after a while, I just walked away with Catherine's electronic
yeah,
fan and just did my own thing.
yeah. We probably should have done the lesson before they actually performed for us. Uh,
Yeah.
coming up after
Yeah.
they did a little demonstration, I was like, oh, we're gonna suck.
Yeah. 100%.
Uh, no, that was fun though. It was cool to get to. I thought it was really cool that we got to like meet them personally and then get to see them later that night.
Yeah,
After the performance.
absolutely. Kind of like
I thought that was
see them
really cool.
practice. It definitely reminded me, I mean, you may be too young for this, but the movie from the 90s called Center Stage about a bunch of dancers in New York and their drama. Highly
Yeah, I definitely don't
recommend.
know that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good
No.
one.
No. Um, what's maybe some experiences you've had traveling that you didn't really enjoy?
Oh gosh. Um, that is a good question. Um, when I was a kid, we had planned like my first trip to New York City, and I was like so excited for it, and like seeing Times Square and like going to the M&M store and everything you want to do as a kid in New York.
Hmm.
And it was the blackout of like 2001 or 2002. And there was no lights on anywhere. Like Times
Oh
Square
God.
had no lights. There was no air conditioning, no refrigeration. It was the middle of summer. It was just like something out of a zombie movie. It was so weird.
Yeah, that's wild. I can't imagine New York without lights on.
Yeah, that wasn't a great trip. I also did an all-inclusive place with a friend, and she drank too much, and we ended up in a Mexico hospital.
Oh no.
And I know, and it wasn't even a private hospital; it was one of the public ones. And she was kind of being a little bit of a diva. I hope that she isn't going to listen to this, but we like get a taxi to drive us there. And she like gets out of the car and she's like, I need a wheelchair. We're like, girl, they don't have any wheelchairs here. Like you're on your own. You gotta like walk up to the triage booth. And so it was so scary because it was all running on a generator and the generator kept going out. And so
Oh
it
no.
was like there's nothing like being in a public hospital and like the generator keeps going out and the doctor doesn't speak English and our flight leaves like at 5 p.m. that night. That
Oh,
was,
nice.
yeah, I was like, girl, I'm about to leave you here in Mexico and catch my flight. I can't be bothered to do this. But it all worked out.
That's funny. Have you been to many of those like all-inclusive resorts?
You know, I have. I've been to a couple of them. They're great. It's like Vegas. I think they're great for like
Okay.
2 days, 3 nights. You know, it's the food at those resorts sucks, but the pool is nice and it's all you can drink. So that's kind of fun for unplugging. But I mean, it's not my preferred method of traveling. I really enjoy going to Mexico. And I think that there is something for the all-inclusive resorts, but it's not my preferred way of seeing Mexico.
Yeah, I feel like that's just if you're trying to just get away and just not do anything, that's the way to go.
Exactly.
But if you're actually trying to travel and experience a place, doing something else is probably better.
Yeah. You know what an all-inclusive is perfect for would be like if my family wants to get together for the holidays, where I can just be like, okay, I've had enough of you. I'm swimming up to the swim up bar. Don't talk to me for a couple hours.
Yeah, that's good way to do it.
Yeah. Gosh, man, that was a good idea. I'm going to tell my family that's what we're going to do for Christmas next year.
Yeah, hey, Christmas in Cabo or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. Are you ever gonna get up to the Pacific Northwest anytime soon?
Oh, you know what? I would love to. And I haven't really explored over there. I've done Seattle like when I was a preteen, but I haven't been back. And I've never been to Oregon either, which is definitely on my list.
Yeah, you gotta get out here. We got lots of cool things to see, a bunch of national parks. It's
what would you recommend?
Oh gosh, well, I mean, I definitely recommend hitting all of the national parks.
Okay.
They're all insanely beautiful. And it would be a long road trip to hit all of them, but you could do it in probably like 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
But then Seattle and Portland, they're really I would say quirky cities, especially Portland.
Yeah.
Definitely that Pacific Northwest vibe. You can get coffee in every single corner. And honestly, I think heading over to the east side of the mountains, there's a lot of, like where I live, we got a lot of agriculture, a lot of wine is grown here.
Okay, now we're speaking my language. Because I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm kind of an indoor cat, and I'm not going to be able to like be hiking on a mountain. Like whatever, an arthritic dog could do on a hike, I can do.
That's a good analogy.
I'm not looking to do what you and Leah are doing, like on the tiny little mountain passes where people die and shit. That's not my vibe.
Oh man, okay, never mind. Don't go to the national parks then.
Yeah, is there like a drive-through option for the national park?
There is to some extent. Crater Lake you could totally do easily, but
a helicopter will just drop me right at the top of the mountain.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Well, that's funny, but yes, then you should definitely come to the east side because there's lots of wine and beer, and you could just drink your way through the entire east side of the state.
Okay, yeah, that's speaking my language now.
And then you let dogs into the wineries too. So
okay, love that. Is it good wine over there?
Oh yeah. It's I'm sure you've had some. We send it all over the world.
Yeah,
it's like Napa Valley, but not the prestige, I guess, of Napa Valley or the marketing.
Oh, that's good to know because I mean, like Virginia wine on the East Coast is absolute shit. Like no one drinks it.
No, it's we got some world renowned wines up here.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've seen it in the grocery stores.
Well, now I'm going to look out for it.
Anything that says like Columbia Valley or Prosser, Grandview.
Yeah.
In there.
Is it red wines or whites, or what is kind of the main?
Both.
Both.
Both. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's come check it out.
Yeah, I will. I mean, like, I love wine, and I unfortunately, Cuba is not known for their wine, so we didn't have any there. But on my past trips, I mean, FTLO did a good job in Portugal, and I love Vino Verde. And then we went, in South Africa to Stellenbosch. But I'll be honest, I don't think that the South African wines are really good either. They're but what I appreciate about the South Africans is when you order wine at a restaurant, they bring you your wine and then they bring you a giant cup of ice with a spoon, because they're like, listen, we know this is shit, put ice in it, it will taste a lot better.
Interesting. I don't think I've ever seen it before.
Yeah. I mean, like, well, maybe, you know what, I won't yuck anyone's yum. South African wine is fine, but it's not my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of yellowtail. I mean, like, I think I think South African wine is not on the top shelf of like a wine store. It's going to be like mid-tier or like at the bottom.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have as refined a palate as you. It all tastes the same to me. I'm like, it's red wine. It's good.
You're like Michael Scott. This is a white.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually Michael Scott in real life. Yeah, but what other highlights or maybe travels that you want to go on in the future?
Ooh. Okay, so I did Oaxaca during Day of the Dead in Mexico, and that was incredible, like bucket list item. And so it really made me fall in love with kind of those little like tiny towns in Mexico with a lot of art and culture. So there is another one called Puebla that I really want to go to, and San Miguel de Allende. I speak no Spanish, so I can't really pronounce any of them correctly, but those two are on my list. And I reached out to someone to like plan an itinerary for me, because I couldn't find really any group travel that goes down there. And I really want to do it, but I reached out and she's putting together an itinerary. So if you want to come along, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, I know we were kind of talking about that in the group chat, but yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's cheap. Food is delicious. Mezcal tasting, like what's not to love?
Yeah. I mean, that sounds amazing. And I haven't really got to explore Mexico that much, other than up by the border in Tijuana and Tecate and all those places.
Oh, yeah.
So it'd be cool to get down further south.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, here's the thing. We need to find a friend who speaks Spanish. That's what's missing in our group.
Yeah. I can speak it a little bit, but not anywhere where I'd feel comfortable at all.
Could you get us like from the airport to the hotel?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's more than I can speak.
I've taken, 3 years of Spanish over the years. And then obviously traveling to all these Spanish speaking countries, but it's just so hard to retain when you're not speaking it all the time.
Yeah, 100%. You know what? I actually signed up for Duolingo. Duolingo, you can sponsor Kyle. Thank you. But it's so much fun. And I'm learning, I think, more doing Duolingo than I did like all in high school.
Yeah, I agree. I've used Duolingo for Spanish over the years, and it's a really good tool to learn the basics for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm just kind of like kicking myself that I didn't start learning a language during the pandemic when I really had some free time.
Yeah, I think that's when I was using it mostly. I was like, you know what? I have nothing else to do. I'm going to try learning Spanish again.
I know what you mean. Did you find that, like, I mean, quote unquote, post-pandemic, did you just have like a travel rumspringa, like when the Amish are let go out of the community when they're 18 and they just go wild? Have you had a travel rumspringa?
So, yeah, my travel has increased significantly since the
Yeah.
pandemic. Actually, during the pandemic, everything was so cheap in
Yeah.
late 2020, early 2021. Nobody was flying,
Right.
and I was like, well, I can still work just from my laptop. I'm gonna go everywhere. So
Yeah.
that's how I got most of the states checked off, especially on the east coast of the U.S. I was like, I'm just gonna
Oh,
go on this like long weekend, go check off 3 states, and I did a bunch of that.
well, good for you. I was one of those people who was just like too scared. And now, like, now with the vaccinations, it's just like, man, it's like now we're getting COVID waves again, and everyone's like, oh, well,
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I think you gotta. Each person's different, but I
sure.
figured I'm a 27-year-old healthy male. Like I'm probably
Yeah.
gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I still want to be cognizant of other people, but I'm like, if I get sick, I get sick. It is what it is. But
Yeah.
I can't
I
I
think,
can't put my life on pause.
yeah. I mean, like now looking back, I kind of wish that I had that same outlook back in the thick of it. I was
Mhm.
just clutching my pearls. Yeah.
I mean, it's always important, and obviously at the start too, it was.
Yeah.
I had no idea. It was like, oh my gosh, especially because Washington, where I'm at, was one of the first places to really get hit in the U.S. And I was like, oh my gosh, like people are dying left and right. This is crazy.
Oh, yeah. You know what's so wild is I had a client that I was like, driving around and showing her houses in January 2020. And I remember picking her up from the airport at DCA, and she had just gotten back from Wuhan, China. And I was like, ooh,
Oh no.
Wuhan, what an exotic destination. I've never heard of that before. Where is that? And now it's like, holy shit. She was probably like patient 0 in DC, and I was probably number 1, number 2.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
I
Was she sick at the time?
know. Sorry.
Was she sick at that time?
No, but it's kind of like, pre-pandemic, I never noticed if someone had like a cough or like a
Yeah.
runny nose. You know what I mean?
I know now it's like every time someone coughs, you're like, oh no.
Yeah. Or I feel even like now if I see someone wearing a mask, I'm like, what do they know that I don't know? Why are they
Yeah.
wearing that mask?
Yeah. That's funny. I did enjoy traveling in the thick of COVID, and having to wear the mask on the plane,
Oh,
because when I
yeah.
fell asleep and my mouth was wide open, nobody could see it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I kind of wouldn't mind if they brought that back forever, like just on planes, because people are gross.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, you said on your flight back from Cuba, there was a lady just coughing her guts out.
Oh my gosh, right next to me,
Ugh.
the entire 7 hours, and then the extra 2 hours that we sat on the tarmac. It was
Ugh.
terrible. I was like, get me off of this plane.
Nothing is worse than sitting on the tarmac for 2 hours, except for when there's a woman coughing next to you and you're sitting
Yeah.
on the tarmac for 2 hours.
After we had landed and I knew that I had to drive over a mountain pass that was closed because of snow and ice, and I was like,
Oh,
I'm not going to get home until early next morning. Like, this is going to be
oh,
terrible.
oh man.
And it
I
was
would be.
terrible. I got home at 3:30 in the morning, which was 6:30 a.m. my time for being on the East Coast for a week.
Wow.
So it was brutal.
Yeah. Well, what I'm hearing is that you need to be in DC where you can metro to the airport.
Just another hook there to drag me over to the East Coast.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be doing my job if I wasn't trying to recruit you over here.
That's funny. Well, I'm not saying no, but
Okay.
I'll definitely look into it and get back to you about that.
Yeah, well, keep an eye on flights, and we'll give it a retry because your first time in DC wasn't great.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely need to come visit again at least.
Yes. Well, of course, if you do, I'm sure that the whole crew is going to come wherever you want to go. If you want to go up to New York, I'll meet you up in New York.
I don't know. I've been in New York too many times.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I,
Then DC.
Yeah, I would definitely do the DC. I haven't got to explore Virginia very much, so I would definitely go explore Virginia.
Okay.
Um,
Well, I'll drive you out to the wine country and you can see what you think.
okay, it probably tastes the same to me.
That would be we'll do like a blind taste test. We'll be like, this is Virginia wine, and this is wine that has been sitting uncorked in my hot apartment for 24 hours. Which one do you like better? I'd be like, oh, the hot wine.
Yeah. I'm just gonna be like, it tastes like wine.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Well, Sarah, anything else you want to share in regards to your travels or tips that you have for people?
Ooh, tips. You know, I don't think that I have any. No, you know what? No, I think I'm really looking forward to hearing some of your travel tips
Yes,
in
you can
book
read
form.
about them pretty soon.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I can't wait
That's so
either. I just
exciting.
refreshed the online website to see if it was up yet, but it is not.
Oh, okay. When can we expect it?
So the publisher didn't give me an exact date. They said 10 to 14 business days, and that
Okay.
was at least 6 business days ago. So
Oh, okay.
if not
Well,
longer.
there's still time.
Yeah.
Now, okay, I know it's for travel tips for 20 somethings. What about like a 30 something? Am I going to get some good tips too?
Yes. So
Okay.
it's from a 20 somethings perspective. So
Okay.
there's a lot about, like I have stayed in hostels around the world and things like that.
Uh-huh.
But I think it's really for anyone. I think people that haven't traveled really at all are going to get the most benefit out of it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
but I think it will just be interesting for anyone who's whether they're 70 years old or 30 years old or have traveled a lot or haven't traveled a lot. I think it'll
Yeah.
just be an interesting perspective to hear,
Okay.
and I think anyone will get something out of it for sure.
Okay. Can't wait. Well, I'll be first in line to buy 10.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was such a cool moment getting to open that book for the first time.
Yeah, what an accomplishment. I mean, it's like one thing to think of that kind of stuff and then to actually execute it and get it done. That's just, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And, actually, more free advertising for FTLO here, but the first one that I went on, the first FTLO trip was to Italy, to Tuscany and Rome,
Oh, shit.
in 2021, September 20.
Okay.
And like that was, the first time I got to travel internationally in a couple of years because of COVID.
Yeah.
And I was just like, while I was on that trip, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not where I want to be in life. Like, I don't want
Yeah.
to. I want to make travel my life because that is my real passion.
Sure.
I want to share the world with others,
Yeah.
and I had always told myself, one of my bucket list items in life was to write a book, and be a published author. And
Yeah.
I got back from that Italy trip, and I just was like super motivated to make it happen. And so I already
Yeah.
had the idea in my mind before, and I was like, all right, I'm coming back from this trip. I'm gonna sit down every day. I'm gonna write 500 words.
Wow.
And 50,000 plus words later,
Oh my
I
God.
had a book, and
That's so many
and then actually,
words.
yeah, it was wild. Um,
Wow.
and then it actually worked out that in March of 2022, I was going on the Colombia trip,
Uh-huh.
and at that time, I had just started sending out the manuscript to different publishers to try to get it picked up. And I
Yeah.
was sitting in the Bogota airport going to Cartagena
Yeah.
to go on this FTLO trip, and I get this email from the publisher, and they're like, "We would love to have your book as part of our collection." Blah blah blah, like this big long.
Oh.
And I'm just sitting there by myself. I'm the only white person in the airport, just all by myself, looking like an idiot, like doing the whole Breakfast Club at the end. He's pumping his fist, I'm like, uh, yeah. So
Oh,
that
I
was
love that.
But yeah, the FTLO, I guess, was kind of the catalyst there.
Yeah. Wow. Look at that.
So if they don't sponsor me now, I'm going to be upset.
Yeah. What the heck? I mean, they at least have to give you a voucher.
Yeah, right. That's all I really want, anyways. I'm obviously going to spend any money on their trip. So
Yeah, I know. Wait.
um,
Okay. So when you were in Italy, where did you go? You were in Tuscany and Rome.
yeah, that was actually I actually was supposed to go on the Morocco trip in
Uh-huh.
September 2021, but they
Okay.
canceled it last minute because of COVID issues. And they were like, "Well, we have this Italy trip that's like the same time."
Yeah.
And I was like, "You know what? Sure. I haven't been to Tuscany or Rome. I've only been to Northern Italy.
Sure.
Let's do it. I want to get out of here."
Oh my
So yeah,
God.
I flew into Rome and then I took the train up to
Yeah.
Pisa, and I was in Pisa for a day by myself. And then
Yeah.
we were in Florence was the start of the trip, and then we went out into like the Tuscany countryside. We went to a couple small towns out there, and just
Gorgeous.
absolutely, yeah. I can see why so much of the best art ever created was made there. Um,
Yeah.
it's just beautiful.
Now,
Um,
did you do the truffle hunting?
yes, that was so
Oh,
cool. Oh
oh,
my God.
that's a bucket list item. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was so cool. And then to realize how much those are worth.
Yeah.
um, those dogs are worth their weight in gold, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. And I watched a wild documentary on it, but like competing farmers would like kill one another's like rival dogs.
Oh, I could imagine. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, we were out there for like mate, probably not even 2 hours, and we got like the dog found a handful of truffles, and the
Shit.
guy was like, "Yeah, this is probably like $3,000."
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, you know what's so wild too is I guess they put like the truffle oil, like when the dogs are born, they put it on like the mom's nipples. So like the
Ah,
baby puppies, like from infancy, like associate like this delicious smell with good things.
yeah, yeah, that makes sense because the dog was going crazy trying to find the truffles, and anytime that they found it, just would go insane.
I think that would be like my like retirement dream would be to like retire, live like on my own beautiful Tuscan farm and not have to do any work and like have just
Yeah,
farm to table food and truffles at my ready.
yeah, I could see you definitely living out there in Tuscany. I think that would be a good place for you.
Oh, well, that's the plan. You know, the Duolingo. I'm trying to get it
Yeah,
to be fluent here.
you and your Moroccan prince can live out there.
Oh my God. Yeah. I might be on the next season of 90 Day Fiance with how I was doing in Morocco. The Queen of
I know.
Morocco.
By the end of the trip, I thought you owned the country.
Who would have thought? All you have to do is be blonde and wear a caftan, and
Yeah,
then we'll go nuts.
that was hilarious.
I know. I was thriving. I don't think I've ever been pulling those numbers. I was pulling tens.
Uh, oh man, I love it. There's so many fun memories that we've had in our two trips.
I
Um,
know.
can't,
Well,
can't
I'm
wait to have
excited to
more.
make more.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
um, well, awesome. Anything else that you want to share, Sarah?
I don't think so. Thank you for having me on, and congratulations on the book.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Actually, it'll probably be out by the time that this airs
Okay.
next week. So
Awesome. I can't wait.
yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks again. I really appreciate it. It's so much fun chatting with you, and really looking forward to traveling with you again soon.
You too, Kyle. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Hey everybody, Kyle here. If you enjoyed today's show and want more, you can always check out every episode on Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, and now Amazon Music as well. Just search for Our Travel Experiences on any of those platforms and it will pop up. You can also find everything all in one place on my website, ourtravelexp.com. And if you want to see my travel pictures as well as travel pictures from guests on the show, you can check them out on Instagram. The page is called Our Travel Experiences Podcast. And if you want to share your own pictures on the Instagram page or be a guest on the podcast, you can message me via that Instagram page or email me at ourtravelexperiences@outlook.com. I would love to see your pictures and hear about your travel experiences, so please send them my way. And if that isn't enough for you, make sure to check out my weekly YouTube show, From Around the World Fridays. Every Friday, I'm taking 5 to 10 minutes to answer questions from listeners, share some souvenirs that I bought over the years, share my postcards over the years that I've accumulated, or share videos and pictures from one particular city or country that I visited, and so much more. So check it out, guys. You won't be disappointed. And make sure you go subscribe to that as well. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you somewhere around the world soon.